Okay, as I was saying, sorry about that. Thank you for being patient. As I was saying, please, you guys, use Canvas. You see how much I stress about getting the recording. It's very rare that it won't happen. Once in a while, I'll say video didn't record or something, but I think it's only happened once this year. I always make a video. I always upload the notes, the homework, most of the time the key. So use Canvas to stay caught up, okay? What we did yesterday was we got introduced to slope-intercept form. And what we did yesterday is in today's lesson, so we'll get to practice that. And then we're going to take it a step further. We're going to actually graph using slope-intercept form. This is so important, all right? So let's look at our very first example, example 4, okay? They're asking us to graph a linear function with a slope of -3/2 and a y-intercept of 4. So what we learned yesterday is that one of those is an M, one of those is a B. Which one is the 4, guys? Is that your M or your B? It's your B, okay? So M is slope. We have to know this, okay? And B is your y-intercept. Got to know it, right? So B is 4. Slope is -3/2. So let's just put it in slope-intercept form. Y equals -3/2 x plus 4. So I'm looking around and seeing a sea of gold paper on your desk. Thank you so much for having your reference sheets out. We actually are using them now. There's your slope-intercept form. It's on your reference sheet. It doesn't say the name though. So you have to remember this is slope-intercept form. Because it has a slope and an intercept in it, okay? Now, how do we graph this? There's only 2 numbers, okay? There's 2 numbers. And you can graph a line with just 2 points. More is fine, but all you need is 2. So you could literally just learn how to graph this number and this number, connect them, and you're done. Slope-intercept form is the easiest and the most common way to graph lines. As a reminder, we already learned how to do it with a table of values. If you pick x values, plug in, get the y values, it's a little bit tedious. We also learned how to do it by intercepts. We had to plug in 0 for x, solve for y, plug in 0 for y, solve for x. Tedious. This is the easiest way. Okay, there's 2 numbers. One of them has to get graphed first. That is the y-intercept. How can you remember that? Because the letter B comes before M in the alphabet. You always graph this guy first. So, annoyingly, I'm going to keep yelling, not at you, but towards you. Your first point, when you graph a line in slope-intercept form, is to put your first point on the y-axis. B is 4, so my y-intercept will be 1, 2, 3, 4. First point always goes on the y-axis. 100% of the time. I'm not going to say, guess what, I'm changing it now. It's always going to go on the y-axis. Will my first point ever be on the x-axis? No. It will. Oh, the first point. There's 50% of your graph. There's only one more number, right? This one's done. Now we have to do slopes. The slope's the trickier one. Clearly, we all know what a y-intercept is. Positive 4 would be up 4, negative 4 would be down 4. First point always goes on the y-axis. Okay, how do we do the slope? So this is where you cannot ignore me. A slope tells you how a line tilts, okay? So here's what's important to know. A positive slope, the line will rise left to right. That's called an increasing function. From left to right, it's going up. So if you see a line going like this, that will have a positive slope, okay? Negative slopes always fall left to right, okay? That's called a decreasing function. So if you see a line going like this, you know it's going to be a negative slope, okay? Stay with me. There's 2 numbers in a slope. We have a top number and a bottom number. Remember, the top numbers are your y values. Remember those arrows? The y is on top, x is on bottom. Another way we call that is rise over run. Think about why. Rise is up or down. Run is left or right. You run horizontal, that's your x-axis. Rise is up and down, that's on top. Think about hurdles. You jump over the hurdle and then you run to your next hurdle. I don't know, I'm trying to help you with that. So with your fraction, you're either going to go up or down first from this point, from here. So you put your y-intercept there, and then you either go up or down, and then you'll go left or right. So rise is up or down, run is left or right. Now it does matter which ones you do. It has to do with this. We have a negative slope, so you all should know your graph is going to look something like that, just because it's negative, okay? That's the first thing we've got to know. So you have a choice. Listen to me. Watch me. So I'm at my y-intercept right here, okay? I need to make sure my line, when I graph this last point, makes the graph fall left to right. So I can either go down and to the right. Let's say it again. Look where my pen is. I'm at the y-intercept. I can either go down and to the right, or I can go up and to the left. Either one or both. I'll do both. So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and am I going to go left or right? Right. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 2. Why am I going right? Because I want it to fall. Or, look right here, look at my pen. I could have gone up first, and then would I go left or right? That's when I would go left. I didn't need both of those, but you could. The more points you have, the better your line will look, but you only need 2. You could have picked this one or this one. Either one is right. They make your line perfectly straight. They're in line with each other. You can extend it, put arrows on the ends, but all you need is one, okay? One slope. So I would be able to look at your graph and say, okay, they knew the y-intercept was 4, and then they went down 3, right 2 for their slope. The graph is falling left to right, as it should when we have a negative slope. Okay, let's keep going. Go to the next page with me. It's going to take a few for you to get it. Maybe you'll get it sooner. All right, we have a slope of -2 and a y-intercept of 7, right? If I wanted to put that in slope-intercept form, it would look like this. That's what we learned yesterday. How do I take M and B, put it into slope-intercept form, okay? Which one am I going to graph first, the M or the B? B. B is your y-intercept. First point always goes on the y-axis. B is +7. That's right there. Right? 50% of the graph is done. Now look at your slope. We have a slope of -2. We have rise, where's run? Our slope to graph needs to be a fraction. For one time in our life, we want a fraction, right? How do you make a -2 a fraction? You can make any number in the universe a fraction by doing what? Just put a 1 under it. Yeah. That still equals -2. And there's my rise over run. It's a negative slope, so just like the one we did before, it's got to look like this. Knowing that helps me know if I'm going to go up, right, or left, and the directions, okay? So picture it. I need to go from here, and then one of my points has to be on this line. Now remember, you could go up and to the left or down and to the right. I could go up and to the left or down and to the right to get on here. But since this is like at the top of my coordinate plane, I'm probably just going to go down 2, right 1. That's it. Look, they line up to make a negative slope. 2 points, done. That's all I need to make a line. Could I have kept going down 2, right 1, down 2? You can do it you can do it forever and ever. That line will continue on and on and on forever. Down 2, right 1, down 2, right 1. It'll just be more points on there. But 2 is plenty, right? Okay. Let's look at this one. This is the second example we did yesterday. It says to graph it. It's not in slope-intercept form. We need to rearrange it. Remember those we didn't like so much yesterday? So when it's not in slope-intercept form, we have to successfully get it in slope-intercept form, meaning y should be by itself, right? If it helps you to draw the line thingy. Are you not doing this with us, Charlie? Why does it look like that? Oh, you should have told me, sweetie. I didn't know I still had it on that. Oh, you should have told me. Sorry about that. It was fine over here, but it was different over there. You could yell at me. Don't yell at me, I'll cry. But tell me if I mess up like that. Okay, so I need to get y by itself. Anybody know what the first step is? Not subtract 12. Not add 3 either. You know? What is it? Subtract 12x. So I'm being picky with you, all right? You have to take the whole thing and move it to the other side, okay? So we're trying to get y by itself. Let's get this whole chunk out of there by subtracting 12x from both sides. Okay? Thank you for trying to... All right? Why did we subtract instead of add? Well, remember, we wanted to cancel. 12 minus 12 is nothing. Okay? Don't forget, when we write this left-hand side, there's a negative in front of that 3. So this is negative 3y equals... Now, technically, notice I said that, it doesn't matter what order we write these in. Your brain probably wants to write 18 minus 12x, but we're not going to write 18 minus 12x. And remember, we can't actually subtract these because one has an x and one doesn't. They are unlike terms. Because we're putting something in a very specific form, we have to pay attention to that. So after the equal sign should be our number and the x. So we're going to write negative 12x. Is that plus 18 or minus 18? Plus. It's positive, Alan, right? Positive is plus. Thank you. If it were a negative, you'd call it a minus, okay? Someone besides Alan, what's the last step? Delaney, do you know the last step here? Close. Negative 3. Good. Divide both sides by negative 3. So divide u by negative 3. Divide u by negative 3. Divide u by negative 3. So guys, negative 3 divided by negative 3 is positive 1. That cancels. You're just left with y. That was our goal. Okay, we wanted y by itself. Now, just be careful that you simplify over here correctly. Okay? So you're going to put these in your calculator as fractions. So that's 12 negative, right? Fraction p, that's the fraction bar. And then when I do 3, and then when I hit negative, remember, that negative is going to go away. Because your calculator already figured that negative divided by negative is positive. They cancel each other out, just like they did here. Negative divided by negative is positive. And then you hit equals, and you get 4. So we have a slope of 4x, and then 18 fraction p, 3 negative equals negative 6. Okay? So, blah, 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 blah. We have a slope of 4. It's not a fraction. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. That's okay. We got an easy solution to make any number a fraction. And a y-intercept of, don't forget, that's a negative in front of the 6. Which one do I graph first, M or B? Does it matter, Alan? Yes, it matters. You always graph your y-intercept first. So on the y-axis, I'm going to go to negative 6. Now, careful. Notice that this is counting by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. That can get tricky. On the one we did up here, it was counting by 1s. On the one we did on the page before, it wasn't numbered at all. When that happens, guys, when you don't see any numbers, you just know that it's counting by 1s, okay? That's just the default way. right? And we'll talk about that when we get to the homework together. Okay, so first point goes on the y-axis. So on the y-axis, -6 would be right there, right? Guys, we have our first positive slope. Positive slopes, the line should look like that. We got to just know that. That helps you figure out the direction of your slope. I can either go up 4, right 1, or down 4, left 1, so that my line goes like this. Okay? So I'm going to, don't forget it's counting by 2s though. Okay? So up 4 would be to here, right? Because this is 2, 4. And to the right 1 would be like in the middle, right? Because it's counting by 2. So in between 0 and 2 would be 1. And there is the line. Double check. Did I do my slope right? Oh, it looks good because it's showing a positive slope there. Okay? Last example. This one's easy. You've already done it. You've already done these. And these are your favorites. You just didn't know it. This one, and change this to an X for me, and this one. We already learned that when there's one letter, it's one of those special easy ones. These are the ones where it's either vertical or horizontal. It doesn't have a tilt to it. It's either straight up and down or straight left and right. And I taught you guys a trick to know which is which. So first thing is, you know it's either vertical or horizontal, the special easy type to graph, because there's only one letter, right? Just a Y, just an X. Does anybody remember either one of the tricks to remember which one's vertical, which one's horizontal? Alan? Nobody? Anybody? No? Okay, this will remind you. You're right. So let's talk about this one, because I feel like this one's the easier one. The top half of an X is a V. Remember that? So these are your vertical lines. Vertical lines go up and down. And then, especially the way I make my Y's, they kind of look like H's that are upside down. These are the horizontal lines, which go like the horizon. Okay? So it's super easy to graph. You just have to recognize them. Go on the y-axis to 2, make the horizontal line. That's it. On the x-axis, go to 1, vertical line. So the top half of an X, you could call that a V. X, vertical. And Y is the other one. Okay? Important to know, the slope of a horizontal line is 0. And the way I remember that is there's an O in horizontal and a 0 is kind of like an O. Right? So just real quick, let's go to the homework, but I want to just say, just looking at some graphs. Guys, is this slope A? Hannah, is this slope positive or negative for A? This right here, this graph right here, is that going to be a positive or a negative slope? Yep, because it's rising left, right. That's a positive slope. You could even identify what the B value is, right? It's -8. Think about how you could pull information off of there. Okay? Alexis, is B a positive or a negative slope? Say it again. Is this a positive or a negative slope? Yeah, it's falling left to right, right? That's a negative slope. This is a horizontal line. That's a slope of 0. You get the idea. Positive slope, negative slope. Okay? All right. Let's go to the homework. And you're going to need graph paper, so I'm going to give you some graph paper. write this assignment on the graph paper. That way, when I collect the homework, you'll notice the resource with it. Or at least put it like in the binder when you're done. So literally all your work right on this. I am going to do one to this week, and I want you guys to feel comfortable. I want you guys to feel really comfortable. Great. Good choice on the day that I said this is really hard. Okay. So my suggestion, not requirement, as long as you keep track of your stuff, that's all I care about, is we're on page 161. This is 3.3, day 2, and you're doing problems 20, 21, 23, and 20. Okay. So a lot of you just wrote it down on here. That's fine. Just make sure you know next week this paper is going to get turned in with your notes. Okay. All right. So number 20 gives us a slope of 3 and a y-intercept of 10. Okay. I think we know by now that slope is m, y-intercept is b. Okay? Now, we have to graph this. Remember, if your slope isn't a fraction, let's just make it one. Easy peasy. Now, you have to draw your own graph. And there's no wrong way of doing it. Okay? No wrong way. But this b value is 10, pretty big, and it's going to take up a lot of my paper. This would be a really good time to, I'm going to give myself more room up here. Like, you don't have to draw your XY chart like perfectly 4 quadrants. You can skew it so that you have more room up there because look, we have to go up 10. I'm going to take it a step further and I'm going to change my y-axis, bless you, to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So if you're going to change, you must label. If you don't label it, that's fine. That just means you're counting by 1. Okay? You do not have to label if you're counting by 1. You just leave the numbers off, and that means that you're doing that. Which one do I graph first? M or B? B. First point goes on the y-axis. B is 10. First point always goes on the y-axis. Half of the graph is done. Okay? Positive slope, we're going to rise left to right. Right? It's got to look like that. So your choices are up 3, right 1, or down 3, left 1. You choose. Don't forget, though, you counted by 2 on the y-axis. Notice I didn't change the x-axis. So this is counted by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't change it. Okay? So going up 2 would be 12, and then in the middle would be right there. Or I could have gone down, I'm sorry, it's up 3. Sorry. Sorry. Just if you're using pen, just put an X through it so you know. So if this is 12, I have to go up to 13, which is the middle here, middle here. All right, I was making it for the 2. Okay, and then from here, down 3, left 1. So what I've told students, if it confuses you when it's counting by 2, don't count by 2. You could, if you're making your own graph, you could have gone all the way up to 10, and then just gone up 10, and then everything's counting by 1. Okay? But see how it's rising left to right. That's what should happen with a positive slope. Okay? So you're going to try 21. I'm going to come around and look. So you guys are trying 21. So making our slope or fraction, right? I mean, I don't need to see that. You just know that there's a 1 in the denominator. First point goes on the y-axis. Every time. You always do this guy first. And that's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See how I didn't change anything? That means I'm counting by 1. Negative slope means it's gonna go like that. So I ran out of room going up. That's okay. I have choices, right? I could have gone up and to the left or down and to the right. So in this case, I'll go down 1, 2, 3, 4, right 1. Always double check before you connect your dots that your graph is falling the way you want, either rising or falling. Okay? You do okay on 21? Notice I only gave you 4 problems. Hey, I'm not going to see you guys tomorrow because it's SAT. For you guys, it'll be PSAT. If you have time, don't forget there's a new EDIA assignment, okay? You have till next Monday, but you might be stuck. Remember at FAST testing how you were stuck sitting in a room? I don't know the rules for the testing yet, even though I'm proctoring, I need to learn. But if you're allowed to be on your laptop after you're done with the test, maybe you can work on something for, I mean, not just my class, any class. So maybe try and use that time wisely. Maybe get EDIA done, that kind of thing. Okay, graph it. It's not in slope-intercept form. So you have to put it in slope-intercept form. What's the first step? Delaney, you got this. What's my first step in this one? No, that's what you said last time. Okay, so how do you pick what to do? There's a number attached to y. We'll deal with that one later. Get the one that's like out, like not attached to it. What would I do to the 5x to move it to the other side? Yeah. So subtract 5x from both sides. Okay? Okay, so what I have left, those cancel. I have a positive 2y, so I'll just write 2y. So, Miley, does it matter if I write 8 minus 5x or negative 5x plus 8? Does it matter what order I write it in? Remember, I want it to look like this. It does matter. I'm going to put negative 5x in front of the 8. If this was just a plain old rearrange the equation, get this letter by itself, it really wouldn't matter, okay? But this is a very specific order, so we do want the x to come first, right? Caroline, what's the last step? Divide by 2. And you get divided by 2, and you get divided by 2. Everybody gets divided by 2. Don't leave anybody out. It would be rude. Okay? 2 divided by 2, y. That was our goal, right? So let's just clean up the other side. So I don't know if negative 5 halves is simplified. If you know, you do you. But if you needed to go into the calculator and check it, you would do 5 negative fraction key 2. And then you would hit equals. Remember, we talked about this the other day. Negative 5 halves is the same as this. That's just a mixed number, negative 2 and 1/2. We never are going to write our slope as a decimal or a mixed number. It's either going to be a whole number, like 3, or a fraction. So all you have to do, remember, is hit shift and the fraction key again, and it'll bring us back. So that was simplified. Negative 5 halves was already as simplified as it needed to be. And 8 over 2 would give you a positive 4. Okay? So not fun, but sometimes we have to do these. So I have an m of negative 5 halves. I have a b of 4. I'm just going to keep it counting by ones. always graph your B first. B is your y-intercept. First point goes on the y-axis. Positive 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Half done. Negative slope falls left to right, right? It's going to tilt like that. It's going to look like that. I can either go up and to the left. Nah, that would get me into the other graph. I can either go up and to the left, decided against that, or down and to the right. So I'm going to go down 5, right 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Make sure before you connect them, yep, that's falling. That looks like a negative slope. Okay? Now, I have left you one to do. So you had to show work for 23, and you will have to show work for 28. I'm going to give you the final answer for 28, not the work. Okay? So you need to do that. If you don't show your work, you won't get all the credit next week. Good gracious. Are you allergic to backing lines? Yeah. Alan?